Chapter 5: Road Conditions. In this chapter, you are going to learn about risk factors on the road depending on weather conditions, state of the road, surface and behavior of the other traffic participants so that you may foresee and react timely to possible hazards. Besides general traffic and weather conditions, road safety greatly depends on traffic participants. Fast and effective traffic flow often causes certain hazards. Traffic is usually faster than the road construction allows. In certain situations, it is necessary to adjust the speed and drive at a far lower speed than the maximum allowed speed on the particular part of the road, if traffic situation requires that. Traffic signalization should be used with caution since there is always possibility of mechanical failure. Risk factors. The risk factors are linked to the road surroundings, equipment and the course of the road, its usage and specific type. You have to assess the current road conditions and characteristics and react appropriately to them in order to avoid traffic accidents. The risk factors are defined depending on the road surroundings, settlements, land exploitation, vegetation, forests, open fields, seas, lakes, bridges, swamps, etc. The road equipment or standards, such as width, lane types and conditions, markings, road signalization, pavement, pedestrian crossing field, street lights, speed bumps, bicycle paths and tracks. The course of the road, i.e. curves, hills, railway crossings and all types of road narrowing. Road use depending on nearby local institutions, for example, schools, train or bus stations. Road type or class such as highway, motor vehicle, only road, main road, pedestrian zone, residential and playground area and speed restricted area. Road surroundings. Approximately 2/3 of road accidents take place in urban areas. The accident risk in urban area is the greatest in shopping streets and roads in the residential quarters, especially at the crossroads. Most accidents involving young children as pedestrians happen at the crossroads in residential quarters. You have to recognize and be able to assess the following risk factors in order to react appropriately. Shopping streets or residential quarters, especially when passing by parked vehicles or pedestrians, when driving towards crossroads, turning or going straight. There is a ball in the street. How will you react in this situation? You might expect the child to run without caution across the street among the cars to fetch the ball. That's why you should be very cautious. In the period between autumn and winter, as well as between winter and spring, there is a risk of slippery roads in places where the road goes through near a humid area, for example, forest, lake, swamp, riverbank, as well as under bridges. Here you can expect ice on the road and you should adjust your speed. Strong sea winds may affect managing the vehicle. Also, road sections along the sea might be slippery due to waves. During spring and autumn, roads might be greasy due to mud that falls off the tractors. Dew appears typically in the morning or evening, causing the road to be slippery. The snow is being blown onto road due to the lack of vegetation on particular part of the road. Pay special attention to the strong crosswinds when driving over bridges, especially when passing by the pillars. While driving with strong right crosswinds, slightly steer the vehicle to the right in order to defy the wind and maintain your course. Pillars make shelter from the wind, so when you are passing by the pillars, wind weakens. Just after the pillar, strong crosswind will reappear. On the forest roads in autumn, there may be damp leaves making the road wet and more slippery. On the roads without pavements, there is a risk of pedestrians on the right side of the road. This risk is especially high at night because many pedestrians do not have reflectors. The picture shows a pedestrian walking on the wrong side of the road, and that's the reason he can't see the vehicle coming from behind. The picture shows a pedestrian walking on the right side of the road, and he can see the oncoming vehicle. Pedestrians wearing reflective vests are more easily noticed. Pedestrians without reflective vests are harder to notice. Can you see how many pedestrians are there, and can you see the dog? Roads without a cycle path, being in both rural and urban areas, cause twice the risk of a collision with cyclists and scooter riders than roads with bicycle paths or tracks. Bicycle paths and lanes at the crossroads are used by both cyclists and scooter drivers, unless indicated otherwise. Scooter riders going from a bicycle path to the road must give way and allow other vehicles to pass, but they do not always do that. Road sign marking a bicycle path. It is prohibited to cross a solid line separating bicycle path from the road, for example, when overtaking a vehicle which is turning left. Road sign marking a bidirectional bicycle path. Road sign indicating a bicycle path is no longer bidirectional. Pedestrians crossing the street will not always use the pedestrian crossing field, even at the crossing with traffic light signalization. The risk of running into a pedestrian just in front of or behind a pedestrian crossing field is higher than in areas without pedestrian crossing field at all. Footbridges and subways are usually unpopular with pedestrians and cyclists due to the additional distance and effort. They will often cross the street even though there is a footbridge or a tunnel. When driving, pay special attention to the pedestrians crossing outside a pedestrian crossing field. Lines on the road, continuous and edge lines, help you drive in a proper position on the road and maneuver correctly, which is particularly helpful when it is dark and the lighting is poor. There is an increased risk of accident outside the urban areas of unmarked roads. Generally, wide 4-lane roads are not significantly safer than 2-lane roads. On the narrow roads, there is an increased risk of traffic accidents and collision with scooter riders, bicyclists, and pedestrians. The risk of accidents on the narrow road is higher in places where it merges with minor side roads. Small roads require your additional attention, especially regarding speed and position on the road. The risk of hitting pedestrians is the highest in urban areas with both 4 lanes and 2-lane roads. Usually, 4-lane roads with traffic islands are not significantly safer than roads without the middle island. A traffic island will reduce the risk of accidents with oncoming traffic. It will also prevent vehicles turning left to minor side roads as well as entering the main road from the side roads. The picture shows a black car hitting a white car on the 4-lane road without traffic island. Traffic island without safety barriers or fences does not significantly reduce the risk of accidents if cyclists, scooter drivers and pedestrians are crossing the street. Material used for road building is important for road safety and maneuvering abilities. Dirt roads reduce road grip. You must drive slowly on these roads in order to avoid skidding when braking and turning. Cobbled roads, black stones, give better adhesion than dirt roads, but quickly become slippery in wet weather conditions. The best adhesion is achieved on a dry asphalt surface with small stones. Driving on a newly laid surface with small stones with a speed of over 40 km per hour may cause stone chips. In spring, the road surface can be uneven and full of holes due to winter frost and salt. A rain shower after a dry period could make the road less safe because of the mixture of water, dust and water holes. Heat can melt asphalt, thus making the road slippery. In the contact of wheels and road surface, there is friction due to uneven surface. Without this friction, it would be impossible to perform any maneuver on the road, acceleration, braking, or steering. Friction is greatly reduced on wet, greasy, slippery, and sandy surface in snow or rain. In these situations, a driver has to use gas, clutch and brake pedals very cautiously. Also, speed must be adjusted to the given circumstances. Passing across speed bumper might be uncomfortable for the driver and passengers if the speed is not adjusted. Higher speed may damage the vehicle and cause injuries to the driver and passengers. The risk of accidents occurring at night is about twice as high on roads without lighting than on roads with lighting. Accident risk on dark roads is high when oncoming vehicles have long beams as well as pedestrians cross the street. Too much street light may confuse the driver, especially when it's raining. Most accidents happen at the crossroads because traffic from the different directions merges here. The highest number of accidents regarding traffic density happens on 4-leg crossroads in the country, i.e. crossroads with 4-side roads with no light. Crossroads on narrow roads are generally as dangerous as crossroads on wide roads. Crossroads without markings, especially left-turning lanes, traffic islands, or on uneven surface, are more dangerous than crossroads with the markings. Markings help drivers evaluate the traffic situation better. Crossroads without street lighting are significantly more dangerous. Crossroads with traffic light signalisation reduce the risk of accidents when driving straight, but increases the risk of accidents when turning left because a driver does not allow all vehicles to pass. Roundabouts significantly reduce the accident risk, even though this does not refer to cyclists because there is often collision between a bicycle and a car entering or exiting the roundabout. Curves may generally be regarded as the dangerous sections of the road. The sharper the curve, the greater the accident risk. A sharp curve is particularly hazardous if it occurs on a road where there are otherwise only gentle bends and a good overview. Curves on narrow roads where road visibility ahead is only 100 meters are especially dangerous. Sharp curves in the countryside without markings are more dangerous than sharp curves with markings, edge poles, and directional arrows. Bends with ascent are especially dangerous because there is harder to control a vehicle. The risk of accident is particularly high on the hills with more than a 4% slope, especially where heavy and light vehicles are driving in a row. The risk factor is especially high when entering a tunnel since your eyes need some time to adjust to different light. Also, it may be dangerous if a driver runs out of gas in the middle of a tunnel. The risk of accidents is particularly high at railway crossing without barriers. Rail crossings with barriers are safer than crossings with light and sound signals only, but you still must be cautious. When a road is narrowing, there will be higher risk of accidents with cars on your left and right-hand side. Most of accidents happen on busy roads and the risk increases along with the traffic density. Depending on road purpose, there are different traffic participants and sometimes this may increase the risk of traffic accident. For example, on roads near schools, roads used by semi-trailers or heavy trucks, roads in town centres, near shopping areas, parking lots, etc. Traffic participants may be less cautious on the roads near bus and train stations, schools, playgrounds, home for the aged, sports arenas, cinemas, and other entertainment venues. Pay special attention to the road types since there are certain rules that apply to every kind of road and you are going to learn more about them in the following lessons. Road types are motorway, motor traffic only road, main road, speed restricted area, pedestrian zone, residential and playground areas, tunnel.
Checkpoint. Take a pencil and a piece of paper. How fast may you drive here? 30 to 40 kilometers per hour? 50 to 60 kilometers per hour? 60 to 70 kilometers per hour? 70 to 80 kilometers per hour?
Material used for road building is important for road safety and maneuvering abilities. Dirt roads reduce road grip. You must drive slowly on these roads in order to avoid skidding when braking and turning.